We got to talk. First off, I want to know, we going to let Russ cook? What's Chef going to do this week?
Look, there's so much that goes into that decision, and I talked a little bit about it last week, but it's pure stability, and it's the fact that we're going to be down probably 3 offensive linemen right out the gate. Suamalu may not play. Troy may not play. And the Nate Herbert is not going to play. He's on injured reserve.
Welcome, week 1, baby. 6 rings and counting. I'm your host, Corey Idle. We're getting right into it today. Lou Willard's here. We are breaking down what is about to be the week 1 victory for the Pittsburgh Steelers against the dreaded Dirty South, the Atlanta Falcons. Lou, how we feeling, baby? We ready?
Look, first off, welcome back. Welcome back. We missed you last week. I did the best I could for the show. It is nowhere near the show it is when you're here with us. So welcome back. Keep getting better. But we are ready to rock week 1.
You handled your business. You were a man down, but you handled your business. Preview this game, man. We got a lot to break down here. It is all for the real deal. We got to talk. First off, I want to know, we going to let Russ cook? What's Chef going to do this week?
Look, there's so much that goes into that decision, and I talked a little bit about it last week, but it's pure stability, and it's the fact that we're going to be down probably 3 offensive linemen right out the gate. Suamalu may not play. Troy may not play. And the Nate Herbert is not going to play. He's on injured reserve. So that again contributes to why Russell Wilson was not only named the starter, but a captain. They're just doubling down on it. So it's going to be a really, really interesting game because Atlanta's coming in too. New head coach, new coordinators. They fired off Arthur Smith. So we got to let Russ cook. We're going to have to let him play his game. Jaylen Warren will be back, though, so that's good. But still not having a couple of linemen when your line isn't that great to begin with. They were before those guys got hurt. It was a better line than it's been, but now it's back to what it was if we're without all 3 of those players.
And we can't discount the fact that Atlanta's pass rush is legit.
Atlanta has a good defense, and they have a defensive-minded head coach. Raheem Morris is a good coach. We'll see how he does as a head coach, but he is a good coordinator. He's a defensive-minded coach, and picking up Judon and Simmons is really going to help Atlanta's defense. So Pittsburgh has to find a way to combat that. If George Pickens does not get 14 targets this week, we better had only thrown 13 passes.
Yeah, well, you can look at George Pickens all you want. I think A.J. Terrell, George Pickens is going to be a lot like Drake London and Joey Porter. That's a little bit of a wash in my book.
And you know what? You're absolutely right. But here's the thing. It's an NFL pass-happy league, and they will throw the flag. So you got to throw the 50-50 balls, and you're going to get some stuff that go your way when it probably shouldn't, and you're going to have something to go against you, Steelers fans. I'm going to be fussing too. That probably shouldn't. But I look for our tight ends to have a big game because they have to. So Arthur Smith offense, Freiermuth has to have a big game, and we simply got to be able to run the ball, man. We have to be able to run the ball. We got to get Najee going, and we have to be able to run that football. This game, if you look at all of the numbers about the game, the over/under is 42. So they expect your basic hard-nosed. Both teams are going to run the ball game. The spread is as of this morning was Atlanta +3, which means the home team gets 3 anyway, so they see it as a push. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Why? New offensive coordinator here, unproven quarterbacks in Pittsburgh, completely new coaching staff in Atlanta. It's going to be really interesting. But the thing is, these are the kind of games you got to win because week 1, everybody's adjusting to everybody. Pick a game. Everybody's got something different going on. So it's going to be good.
Well, let me ask you that question because it's a perfect segue for us. Going into week one, a lot of these teams, the Chiefs, for example, they play Thursday night. They're going to do, in my mind, exactly what they did last year against the Lions, which they're not going to show a playbook. They're not playing for week one. What do you foresee our playbook looking like against Atlanta? Are we going to get some real Arthur Smith excitement out of this? Or is it going to be pretty vanilla and we're just going to see what we're working with?
No, look, see, we're not the Chiefs. The Chiefs are going to do that because all they have to do, which they will again, is win their division. They're playing just to win their division, get into the playoffs. They proved that last year, went on the road, won a couple playoff games, went to the Super Bowl and won another one. We're not the Chiefs. Steelers are not the Chiefs. The Steelers better come out with everything they got. It can't be vanilla. We've seen vanilla. I mean, vanilla's over. We need to see the best offense, whatever they got, bring it out. There should be a package for Justin Fields. Mike Tomlin came out the other day and said the kid is too talented to be sitting on the sideline watching the football game, which tells me you're going to go back to a little bit of that slash when we had Bill Cowher. And I'm not a fan of two quarterbacks, but I'm a fan of the Steelers, so I'll buy in, but it's got to work because the Steelers didn't win a Super Bowl with slash. So, but they have to open it up. It has to be something. I'm looking for them to I look for Jaylen Warren to catch 5 or 6 balls, Najee to get about 75 yards rushing, our tight ends to be big. And again, George Pickens needs at least 14 targets. Or else what are we doing? You're back to the same thing. You don't know if Russ can do whatever if all this man is going to do is run the ball up the middle and not give it to Bijan Robinson when he had him. You have that in Jaylen Warren. We don't know which one of those players are better. But you can argue that Jaylen Warren had the better season last year than Bijan because at least he got opportunity where Bijan didn't. That's a concern of mine with Arthur Smith. So this game, you talk about a game of truly unknown, this is it. This is it.
Talk to me about the importance, because we've mentioned it a couple times now with the tight end being involved in Freiermuth. He's got to have a big game. The running backs getting the dump offs. Talk to me about how the tight end and those running backs will help negate the pass rush of Atlanta.
Oh, it's as simple as, it's basically why teams invented the screenplay. They have to slow down. If they're rushing in and you leak behind them, just dump it off, it's going to slow them down. They got to turn around and go chase now. But for Pittsburgh's sake, the reason I say the tight end has to be involved and Jaylen Warren has to be involved is because of our unproven receiving core. We have one proven receiver, it's George Pickens. And we didn't use him yet. We haven't used him yet. Since he's been there, we haven't given him enough opportunity. But when we have, he's come through. So I'm not sure how healthy Roman Wilson's going to be or even if he's going to play. Van Jefferson is our number 2. Yes, Van Jefferson is our number 2. In a league with 75 good wide receivers, our number 2 is Van Jefferson. So therefore, Freiermuth, Najee, and Warren have to help out in that passing game. But when you use Warren and Najee and Freiermuth, what do? You lose one blocker. We're already going to be down 2 or 3 linemen. So the ball's got to come out quick. Russ has got to protect it. I don't know how much he has left in his legs, but if Russ can rush for I don't know what his rushing numbers are and all this projection stuff, but if he can rush for 40, 45 yards in this game, Pittsburgh wins the game because that means he's getting out of the pocket, he's extending drives, and we keep the ball. And you let our defense rest, we will give anybody fits with that defense. It's our offense has to keep up. So if he can extend drives with his legs and maybe have 8 carries for 40, 42 yards, that doesn't seem like a lot, but it's a lot because his runs, I don't mean 120-yard run, which would be great if he gets it, but I like to see 2nd and 4 and he gets 6 yards scrambling. 3rd and 2, he gets 3 yards. That stuff adds up and it extends the possessions, keeps their guys on the field. Justin Simmons, who was a great safety, great pickup by Atlanta, but he was in nobody's camp. He's still not in football shape. Keep them dudes on the field and make them play. Matthew Judon, who is absolutely an all-pro, pick up from New England. He's been in camp, but he didn't practice. But then he's still learning the Atlanta system. They both are. Keep them on the field. You have opportunities for them to make mistakes. And then it also allows our defense to rest. So the game is so close because you don't know what either one of these teams going to do. But Pittsburgh can't start slow. They have to win the game.
Do you see, before we shift over to the defensive side of the ball and what we're going to be taking on with the Atlanta offense, do you see Calvin Austin playing much of a factor in this with a lot of wide receiver screens maybe to get his speed going? Or
look, clearly I'm a Calvin Austin homer. I've been preaching it since they drafted him, but he's got to stay healthy. And if he's healthy out of that slot, he can be, in my opinion, and then people could disagree, which they will, but he can be a Devontae Smith, they are moving back to the slot in Philadelphia. Skinny Batman's going back to the slot. But Calvin Austin could be that same kind of player. And with Russ, but Russ loves to throw the long ball. So I'm wondering how much he's going to be willing to get the ball to Calvin Austin in the slot, running the little short intermediate routes when he loves to go deep. And he loves his tight ends. So he's got to adjust to that too. Russ been in the league long enough to make adjustments, and he needs to make those adjustments because Calvin Austin can be one hell of a player for the Steelers this year.
All right. Moving over to the defensive side of the ball. Atlanta obviously signed Kirk Cousins this offseason. Huge contract. Kirk Cousins' agent, automatic MVP of the NFL season this year. That's amazing. I hope he works with literary and podcasters because I would like him to represent me one day. That being said, we got Bijan Robinson, just a little over 1,500 total yards last year, under 1,000 yards rushing, though. Did a lot of his movement with about close to 500 yards in the passing game. So all great there. Still unrealized complete talent. Got Drake London on the outside, going to be matched up with Joey Porter. That's going to be fun. Kyle Pitts, the other guy. And then we kind of devolve into a Pittsburgh offense, right? Where their second receiver, Darnell Mooney, they've made no improvements there. Their slot receiver, I don't know. You name him. Go ahead. I'll give you $1 right now. Name him.
I can't.
There you go. There you go. Neither can Raheem Morris. Nobody understands what is about to happen here. Pittsburgh, it seems like, has been practicing. Our defense has been practicing against this offense all offseason. So what are you expecting from our defense here? What are you looking as some of the danger spots with the Falcons?
Well, obviously, the number one danger is Bijan Robinson. And Arthur Smith knows he didn't use him right. He knows he didn't use the man right. But Mike Tomlin is smart enough to know that Raheem Morris will use him right. So if you don't stop him, you lose because you never get the ball back until they score. And then you're always playing catch up. So they have to eliminate him. Drake London, look, this is a guy I'm not worried about. Like, he's a guy in all these fantasy football leagues that we all play in. He was one of the players I put on my list. Exclude. I don't care if it's the 17th round. I don't want him. And maybe because he hasn't had a quarterback yet to give him a chance, but I never saw anything out of him from the beginning. I'm glad he's in the league, glad he's making his money. That's all great. But he's just a guy that doesn't scare me. Kyle Pitts does because they didn't use Kyle Pitts right. If they use Kyle Pitts, Pittsburgh is going to have to bump him at the line, but they flex him out and he runs wide receiver a lot. If they flank him out as a wide receiver, I'm not as concerned about him because he's not a true wide receiver, so our corner can guard him. So that should not be an issue. If they just slide him in the slot, okay, now, one of our slot corners is going to have to guard him, which should still be okay. You don't want him running against your linebackers. So if he lines up tight, we got to jam him off the line to give our linebackers a chance because as good as they are, Roberts, Queen, and Wilson, they still can't run with him. I mean, it's an even matchup, but they don't know where he's going. So that could kind of put us in a pickle, and we got to have some safety help with that. But I don't think Atlanta has a receiver that we need to double team. They're going to play Darnell Mooney, who's our second corner, should be able to guard him. We shouldn't have to lose a safety. This isn't the Bengals. You know what I mean? There's no Jamar Chase over there. There's no Amari Coopers over there or whatever that we see in our own division. So these guys can guard JPJ. He's going to guard this guy, or JPJ. He's going to guard this guy. But we shouldn't have to go. We shouldn't have to double team anybody, and that allows our rushers to get off the ball. We got to figure out how we can get Nate Herbig on the field more, though. That kid is good. That's our third rusher. We got to figure out some time. We should put all kinds of pressure on them because Kirk Cousins was not mobile before he tore his ACL or his Achilles. He's not going to be looking to run anywhere right now. So I look for Pittsburgh to blitz probably, if you consider the passing down, which I think they consider anything 2nd and 7 and on, 65% of the time, they're blitzing. And he's going to be looking to get the ball out quick. So our linebackers need to sit low, somebody cut off a route, and get a couple picks. So it's going to be good. It'll be good.
Is Bijan the type of player, or is this the type of game, I guess, where you would have Queen or one of these other linebackers maybe shadow him a little bit more than necessarily rush on assignment every play, or 60%?
Well, we're Steelers, so no. Some teams do that. No, it's just not about being Steelers. It's about who your coach is. Mike Tomlin believes in we gotta keep him in the group, or you keep him in the numbers. And we even taught that back when I played. Keep the guy in the numbers. They used to tell us, well, no, all we gotta do is keep you in the numbers, and we got help coming. You just can't let him get outside of you because then nobody's catching him. You know what I mean? It's like your receivers. You got to keep them in front of you and in the number. That way you can be backpedaling, but they just can't run by you because your guys are coming, but you got to delay it long enough for them to get there. So I think what they're going to try to do is containing, as basic as that sounds. If Bijan gets 90 yards, a touchdown, Pittsburgh probably wins the game. If he goes for 130 and 2, Pittsburgh is in a world of trouble because it means he's getting loose and they're controlling the ball unless there's one 85-yard run in there. Yeah, so I think they're just going to look to get him on the ground as a group. As Mike Tomlin would say, you got to get him on the ground as a group. Swarm to the ball is what they're going to try to do with him.
So essentially, we're going to let Atlanta, if they're going to win, they're going to have to beat us through the air.
Somebody else is going to have to do it if it can't be Bijan. And I'm not sure Pittsburgh thinks it can beat Drake London. It wouldn't shock me if Darnell Mooney had more receiving yards than Drake London.
Damn. Okay.
It really wouldn't.
We're putting Drake London on notice as backup to Daniel Jones's janitorial services. My goodness. Just disrespect.
I mean, there's no respect coming from no. And then it's game week.
I ain't mad at it. Nobody's criticizing. Criticize.
Yeah, but it's going to be good, though. I think they're going to they have to win time of possession. We've talked about this stuff all summer long. We're looking to control the ball, get the defense on and off so they're fresh in the second half. If Pittsburgh wins a time of possession in the first half, say, you're dealing with 30 minutes. If Pittsburgh can find a way to have that ball for 17, 18 minutes in the first half, they win because the defense is turned completely loose in the second half. And again, you benefit from Cousins, and I hope for God he does not get hurt again. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. But he's not going to be mobile. He's not going to run. They know where he's going to be. The object is to get there because guess what? Atlanta's linemen know where he's going to be as well. So Pittsburgh's going to have to bring it. They're going to have to, Ogunjobi, Liao. We know Cam going to do his thing, but them other guys have to dominate that line of scrimmage from the defensive side of the ball.
We talked about, or you talked about, Judon and Simmons learning the playbook. I know they came in late. Football ready is very different from just learning a playbook. But how much is this playbook? Because again, Kirk Cousins is in a very similar situation to Russ and Justin Fields on our team. Is there opportunity in this game to confuse Kirk learning this new system?
Well, there is, but as we go ahead and wrap this up, as there is, yes and no, because he's been around long enough, he's seen everything, just like Russ has. So it all depends. The question isn't if you can confuse Kirk, is can you confuse Drake, Pitts, Bijan, Mooney? All of them are learning the new offense, just like the Steelers are. Can Raheem Morris confuse George Pickens? Can he confuse the running backs? Because the two quarterbacks should not get confused. They've both been around forever. They should not get confused. So that's why you got to go to the other positions.
Let me rephrase this then real quick before I get to your final prediction. Does the audible factor get confused a little bit? So Kirk comes up to the line. He's looking at that defense. He needs to audible out of the play, doing that quick read, doing that quick call out to everybody else. Is there more opportunity for him to not necessarily get that audible called correctly?
Oh, there absolutely is. And that's just because Pittsburgh has such a good defense. And Atlanta's defense is trying to become that. So you can make the audible. What he's going to do, he's going to audible for his guys that may be confused to get them into a more basic play and something simple when he sees Pittsburgh showing all those signs of blitzing.
Okay, thank you. I'll learn to ask questions better. That was a COVID question. I'll get better at it. I'll get better at it. All right, so we broke it down here. We got in depth a little bit. Give me your final score prediction, Lou. What are we thinking here?
Woo! Obviously, I'm going with the Steelers this week because we got to win. So I see the Steelers winning this game 27-17, somewhere in that range, if they go ahead and turn everything loose. And then that's my prediction. But knowing the Steelers, they'll win 13-9. But I'm going 27-17 Steelers.
I'm going to go 24-17 Steelers. I think it's going to be a little bit closer, but I think we do pull it out. Time of possession, as Lou's been preaching all year, is going to be the factor.
It's going to be huge. I can almost guarantee you right here, the team that wins the time of possession wins the game because Raheem Morris he coaches just like Mike Tomlin. They want to control the ball.
There it is. Time of possession. And Drake London, you ain't shit. For Lou Willard, I'm Corey Idle. This is Six Rings and Counting. Let's go Steelers.